And we are live. We are live here on a Wednesday edition, a hump day edition of the Slate. Reed T. Fowler, Father of the Year.
Ooh.
Jeff Ulrich, Dog Dad of the Month, after cleaning up his dog's raging anal diarrhea at 4 a.m. last night.
Is there a different type of diarrhea?
Yeah, there is. Mouth diarrhea as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Producer Eamon
on the show, probably. So.
Producer Eamon with us. TP on the ones and twos. Guys, I don't know if I'm more excited to talk about the John Deere Classic or hear Reed vent a little bit about Thigala's meltdown. He says he has about a 5-minute rant that he would like to go on.
I mean, I have a snack and a glass of water. So you go ahead, Reed. I mean, you give us the info. You were there at the tournament. I'd like to hear your perspective. Go.
Oh, yeah, Reed. That's another thing, dude. What's going on with that? Like, Samir and I were talking, and like, we didn't know you were going. And on a Friday, we could have spent time with you. But anywho.
A couple of things. First of all, you and Samir don't talk, so you're lying. Okay. That's number one.
All right.
Number two, I was there on Friday, Jeff, so I wasn't there on Sunday. Thank goodness, because if I was, I would have flipped a grandstand if I was. Okay. I would have had that mom strength, but dad strength. When he loses his outright bet for the 10th time, I would have Hulk strength the grandstand. So I was actually driving back from Connecticut when all of this was happening, and my wife was in the back seat with our child and our dog, and she was narrating what was happening to me in real time because we were watching it on our phone.
Oh, okay.
And everyone knows what happened. If you say, okay, for people who don't know what happened to Sahith Theegala, this guy basically had the tournament won on 18. He hits his ball into, like, in Jeff's words, the one place you can't hit it on 18, which is a lip of that bunker. He misses the ball. He doesn't shank it. He misses the ball.
Brutal. And
it's in the same spot. He ends up double bogeying. Xander Schauffele gets luck sacked into a win. He ends up birding, although a nice shot. He shouldn't have won that golf tournament. And Sahith Theegala, I've seen it on Twitter, 100 to 1 tickets, 110 to 1. I myself had 150 to 1 ticket.
Damn.
On Sahith. And I'll say, like, so here's one thing, right? When you have a ticket like that, and this is why golf betting is so much fun, you rarely ever in your life, if you're a career bettor, you rarely win triple digit bets. In the States, right, 5-digit bets. In Canada, where Jeff's at, they're triple digits, right? 100 to 1 and plus. You rarely win those. So when you do, it is like, that's going to bankroll you for the entire year, maybe 2 years, depending on what your unit size is, right? So that was how massive of a loss it was. The second part about my little rant is this. Sahith Theegala is immature, right? And the reason why I say that, not from a personal standpoint, because I think he's a great, like, just based off of what I've seen with him, he seems like a great person. That's why I cheer for him. That's why I bet him, because he's someone that I like to watch, and I love his game. But when I heard his interview on Monday saying, that's my shot, and I think, Jeff, you mentioned this on a couple of shows, that little butter cut off the tee. When you're saying that's your shot, and on Saturday you did the same exact thing, and you screwed up your entire 18th hole where you hit 3 out of the rough on the right side, what you should know is that even if that's your shot, you don't hit driver. Because if it's your shot, you wouldn't have hit it in the fairway, in the rough on Saturday, and then on the bunker on Sunday, on the 18th hole. That's not your shot. Your shot is getting in the fairway, making par, and making Xander Schauffele beat you. That's your shot. That's how you win golf tournaments. That's why Xander won, because he didn't screw up. He didn't play well, but he didn't screw up. Sahith Theegala screwed up. He did the same thing at the Waste Management. He tried to play that little butter cut on 17 and went straight in the water. The same exact thing. So when you're saying it's your shot, it's not your shot, because clearly you can't pull it off under pressure. You got to club down, and I don't care what people are saying about the caddy. Like, that caddy should have cracked that driver across of his knee and said, "You're not hitting this. You're not hitting this, because if you hit it in the bunker, you're not going to be at the lip if you hit a 3-wood."
What were
You
people
wanna win this golf tournament.
giving his caddy crap, saying like he should have stepped in at that moment?
Look, every golfer, like yes and no, right? Every golfer has the last say. All of these guys are A personalities, so it doesn't matter. Like the caddy could have run the opposite way, right? So he hit the guy was hitting driver no matter what. I would have made it a point, like physically said, if you hit this, you better know that we're going to lose. Like there's the realm of outcomes, the range of outcomes is you losing this golf tournament. If you're okay with that, then hit this golf ball, hit this golf shot, right? Because he did it on Saturday. If he didn't do it on Saturday, fine, but he did it on Saturday, the same exact thing.
The thing about that hole too is, like, you hit a 3-wood, you still have like what 150 or less in, right? Like I can't remember the exact yard, but it's not a long hole.
It's a wedge for these guys.
Yeah,
you just needed the par to
it's
win.
still a birdie opportunity, right? If you hit the fairway, and that, like, okay, he still could have pulled the 3-wood, but at least it takes that lip out of play, which is just dead. Like even from the rough, you can get it to the green side bunker or something. Like I don't know. Yeah, with the 1-shot lead, I get he's a young player, and he was all he was thinking about was winning the tournament and making birdie, but that hole, to me, it just screams like you take a 3-wood and you're
right. Caddy should have told him on 18, Xander is one back. We need Xander to make birdie on this hole to force a playoff. And then we could still beat him. You double bogey this hole, we will lose. Because even if he bogeys, right, and Xander pars that hole, you're in a playoff. You double, we're done. We're absolutely done. Because all Xander needs to do is par, right? That's what the caddy should have been saying to him is, this is the situation. And again, I wouldn't be saying this. I wouldn't be so adamant about it if it didn't happen in Phoenix and it didn't happen on Saturday, the day before, on the same exact hole. He deserved to lose that golf tournament on that decision alone.
I think it's the problem with a lot of younger golfers is that they're so focused on pulling off the shots and like just being in the moment. And that's fine. But like at some point, it's a competition. And if you don't course manage and score manage yourself and talk about that with your caddy and what you want to do in these situations, you get there and no one knows what to do and no one says anything. And I think that's exactly what happens to a lot of young players. Like, it's like they don't want to think about being in that situation because they're going to jinx themselves or something, right? Whereas if you do, you have a plan with your caddy, then you have a plan and you say, okay, yeah, we are going to take a 3-wood here because that's a smart move. So yeah, it just seemed like that exact same thing happening. You're right. It did. It happened in Phoenix too. Pretty much exactly.
And look, no one feels this. No one feels worse than Sahith Theegala and his caddy. I'm going to get that flat out. Like
it's a great learning experience. I'm sure. Right. The next time,
like,
it's probably.
But again, like Matt, like you tweeted this out, Jeff. Matt Wolf. He's a prime example, right, of the best college golf player in his era. Right, he was the best.
Yeah. Yep.
And he started off strong, and look where he is now. It can go like that, and these wins and these opportunities that can go like that. That decision costed him $1.38 million, whatever it was, and job security for 2 years.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if that's your shot. You need to win this golf tournament. No one's going to remember you hitting driver on the 72nd hole. People are going to remember you winning this golf tournament.
Yeah.
That's the stuff that these guys got to think about, because you can be on another tour in a following year after you were one of the top 25, 30 best players in the world.
Well, Theegala's in the field this week at the John Deere Classic, which, traditionally, I think you guys would agree here, like it's a place where the unheralded veteran or that long shot, like up and comer, a guy maybe like Theegala, like tends to make a name for himself. So there's a lot of betting value in this field. But Reed, just looking at an article of yours that I pulled up, it doesn't sound like you're going to be back on your guy this week. No. Because according to your article, this is a great stat, by the way. His finishes, Theegala, following a week after a top 15, miscut, 48, 22, 53. Like, I'm steering clear of this dude, not to mention that's a different kind of top 15 last week for him, man. That's like a mind F.
Yeah. So I think, look, and there's context behind that, right? I still think he's one of the top 10 players in this field by far. Maybe in the top 5. Just
the Berger drops out. A couple guys dropping out.
Yeah, John Deere himself dropped out. Steve Stricker,
I love him.
Mr. John Deere. But in terms of where his odds are in the market, right, at plus 2,500, that's not worth it to me based on those finishes. right? Like it's just not, because not only like it was also very hot over the weekend in Connecticut and the Northeast. Like it was excruciatingly hot. And it may not like, formulate itself on Thursday, Friday, where there's still like adrenaline. But imagine if he's again in that same position Saturday and Sunday. Look, if his number was at plus 4,000, plus 5,000, wherever it was, then yeah, maybe, right? But based off of those finishes, like I'm not touching this guy anywhere like near the top of the board. No way.
Yeah, Ulrich, like talking to you on the show like past few days about this, it is such a unique tournament. Again, like a lot of betting value kind of to be found. Adam Hadwin, that's your dude, right?
Hey.
Your Canadian compatriot there, dude. I mean, he's the favorite. Like I don't know. It's kind of like a red flag to me if I'm looking at Adam Hadwin top of the board plus 1,000.
I mean, he's my guy. He's not my guy this week. I mean, there's no chance of betting Adam Hadwin in a golf tournament at plus 1,000. And I'll be honest, like Webb Simpson is almost like looking kind of tempting at plus 1,200, but no, I mean, this event, it's just, you could make cases for anyone because anyone is live. You could say that, from a talent perspective, maybe a guy like in the plus 3,500 range, like Patrick Rogers is a really good bet. And I kind of get behind that this week, but you could also say like, well, Webb Simpson is the clear class of the field. And I actually think he is so clear that like maybe plus 1,200 is a good bet. You could also say you can just bet 5 guys at plus 10,000 and you shouldn't be touching anyone. So it's just a wide open event. It's completely wide open. And in a way, I'm kind of looking forward to see what happens because I like these. But at the same time, like there's going to be, we're all probably going to end the week and be like, oh my God, yeah, okay. Like this is just like, there's no way we were picking this guy out of a hat. So, or this guy's just number was too short for us to bet anyways. So, it could definitely happen like that, but it's fun. I like these events because like Reed said, it does give you access. One thing events like this do, and even last week gives you access to guys who are plus 10,000 or bigger. They can actually win the golf tournament. Like they can be competitive. That's probably not going to happen at the US Open. Doesn't happen very often, if ever, at those type of events. It happens all the time at the John Deere Classics and events like that. So it's fun from that perspective. If you can really get into it, it's a great event to bet. It really is.
Yeah. Michael Kim won at what? Plus 30,000.
Yeah. He was probably
Lord. Yeah.
But Jordan Spieth also won at plus like 400.
Yeah. But he the second time he won, he was the huge favorite. Although the first time he won, he was pretty good odds too. And like Glover last year was like 40, 50 to 1. I think 50 to 1.
So who's going to win though, right?
Fratelli was like 80 to 1. No, who's going to win?
Maverick McNeely at plus 2,500 is probably going because no one's going to be betting him. Everyone bets him at plus 6,000. He's at plus 2,500.
I know. I've had that feeling all week with McNeely that it's like, okay, he's missed a couple cuts. If McNeely had come in like making cuts, he would have been like the pick of the week. Like, oh yeah, this is perfect for Maverick McNeely. Now no one seems to bet him. He's definitely a player that I might just sprinkle some money on tonight just to get some access to because I don't know if I'm going to use him in DFS because he is priced up at 9,500. But yeah, McNeely. I mean, look, he's missed a couple cuts, but like this dude can gain like 8 strokes putting. I mean, and he can dominate the par 5. So, and he's played pretty well at this event the last 2 times he's played here. Yeah. He's definitely capable of winning this week.
T18 last year's John Deere. And despite missing both cuts here, I think last 2 tournaments, even in those tournaments, he gained shots on approach and around the greens in those starts.
He only got 1 sub 70 round in his last 8 though.
Dude, get on the McNeely train.
I trust me. He's on my season long team. I would love for McNeely. I would love for my team not to be hurt and actually, play. But
I forgot you were in that.
Okay, well, let's do this. Let's do an either or. Are you going Bezuidenhout or are you going McNeely?
Shoot.
Because I think both those players have the potential to spike this week. Like I like the setup for both. McNeely does have the experience. I'm picking the South African because that's just the idiotic thing that I do.
That's just who you are. It's in your blood.
But let's ask Reed because he's like the biased, smart one of the group. Who are you taking?
You and your brains.
The unbiased, excuse me.
I would probably have to go Bezuidenhout as well.
Oh, frauds.
In DFS, right? Okay. Like I would because I think he can make the cut. I'm not so sure McNeely's going to make the cut. Like his range of outcomes, right, are massive because he's just not been playing well at all.
No. Yet he's $9,500 because that's just what this tournament is this week.
Yeah. I mean, give me Stallings or Rogers. Like, I want one of those guys over anybody else above them, not named Webb Simpson. Like, Stallings, look what he did. He was almost DFL after Thursday's round in Connecticut. And then he goes 64, 68, 63. And he finishes 8th. Like, what do you need here? Birdies. What did he do? Birdies, right? P. Raj is the same thing. This guy's actually mentioned that this is his favorite tournament on tour, right? He played here as an amateur, as one of his first golf tournaments as a pro. He absolutely loves it. He took last week off after playing for 4 straight weeks because he wanted to be ready for this tournament. So I think Rogers, look, we've been betting Rogers. And this is one thing that a lot of people have to realize too, is that most of these names we've seen, either it's the $7,000 range or at plus 6,000 and above.
Yeah.
You got to totally like throw that out and be like, I'm not going to bet Rogers at 35 or, plus 3,500 because I usually bet him at plus 10,000. You can't do that this week. You just have to play the numbers. If you like them, bet them or play them.
I mean, this is typically a tournament with, I think, about a handful of top 50 players in the world that are in the field. It's just, I think the way things shake out this year, I don't think there are, right? I don't think there's anyone in the top 50. And everyone, these big name guys are coming off this long extended run, US Open a couple weeks ago, and then everyone's kind of making their way over for the was it the Scottish Open next week?
Yeah, co-sanctioned event.
Yeah,
PGA Tour.
And then the following week will be the Open Championship. So I don't know, like Jeff, and then there's Jason Day. Never again. He'll never land on one of my DFS lines ever again. Every time I roster him, his back breaks. So, like, what is the strategy here then in DFS, Ulrich?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm fine eating the Webb Simpson chalk here. I really am. I mentioned before, like, I think Webb is just such a huge favorite just to make the cut and just like land you a top 20. I really do think that like he is the player. I think that he should be like 50% owned. He's also only 10-6. I think that the only reason, and I also think it's a good opportunity from the perspective of like Webb is clearly playing better, but he's not like, he hasn't posted like a bunch of top 10s like he normally does at his regular events. So people still have it in mind. They're like, well, yeah, it's Webb, but like, is he really that good right now? I think he is. He had his best week with his irons at the Travelers last week. And he just dominates these little tricky courses. So like, I'm just all about it. I think you eat the chalk, you let other people get off them. And then there's just so many easy ways to kind of differentiate, because obviously if you're using Webb, you can go in the low 7K range and grab a couple guys there who'd be like 5% owned. So I'm not even really worried about ownership there. I think Webb's a really good starting point. And, Thigala, Hadwin, those aren't guys I want to pay 10K for, but Webb in these fields, he has paid off at this price. Absolutely. So I would trust with him. And then after that, I think you got to start looking, like we mentioned Bezuidenhout and McNeely, and I kind of like McNeely, but like, I think Bezuidenhout at 9,100 is really like the next player down for me. Like he's got as much or more talent than McNeely. He's clearly a better player than like Howell III, in my opinion, and like Denny McCarthy.
Yeah.
Again, just a player I'm okay to trust. I know he's been a little bit inconsistent. He's obviously not as consistent as Webb Simpson, but like a T15, a top 20 at the Charles Schwab, played well there. And like, so what? He missed the cut last week. Okay. Like I said, he's a little bit inconsistent, but like he's been pretty good at these events. And we saw last year on the Corn Ferry finals and stuff, like he was top 10ing in these kind of fields. Very capable of doing that again. I think at 9,100, that's like kind of the next step down for me. So those are my two guys, like from the top 10, honestly, the top tier, I should say.
Hey, Webb Simpson, Reed, has started showing some signs of like improvement. This was really looking as like one of those kind of like down years, I guess, for him, but he is one of the strongest players in this field. Was it 3 top 27 finishes in his past 4 starts, gaining strokes on approach in 6 straight here? Who is a guy you are most confident in rostering? He's going to make it through the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be Webb if that's
okay.
It. Like if I had to, like my life's on the line. Yeah. Having said
what's
that,
what's his ownership going to be?
20. plus.
Yeah.
It's probably, it's definitely gonna be 20 plus. I don't think it's gonna be as much as it should be. Like, I think it should be like 40 or 50. And I think it could, if it's like 30, like I'm fine with that, honestly. So
I forget the number is. It was in my article on Monday, the DFS preview of the roster percentage of the winning lineups. And I think I don't think any, maybe one golfer, and I think it was Patton Kazire in 2019 or in 2021, I forget which year. He was the only golfer above 16% roster percentage, but of those 18 players, I think 8 or 9 were double digit rostered. So what does that say? Right? That says that staying away from the big chalk maybe works out for those Millie lineups, or it's not really Millie, but for those, those number one lineups if you're playing in GPPs. But you also don't have to completely fade the double digit guys who are potentially going to get you 15%. Scott Stallings, I don't think is going to get above 15%. So like him and Patrick Rogers, although being talked about quite a bit, Nick Hardy, Adam Long, like I think this range from 8,900 even down to Lanto and Cam Champ, like this whole $8,000 range, JT Poston as well, is being talked about quite a bit. I like any one of these guys. Maybe not Brendan Todd, but I like any one of these guys, right? And the roster percentage is going to be like spread across this entire swath. So if I had to choose, right, I don't mind fading a guy like Webb. If I had to choose one guy who can make the cut, it's probably going to be him. But I really like, this $8,900 to $8,000 range. I think this is where you're going to have the winner come from.
What did you say about Poston this morning, Jeff? Did you say you were going to do it at 8K?
Yeah, I mean,
can't remember. I retweeted it, but
Poston was more just. He's a guy I don't mind. He's just not a guy I would necessarily want to go crazy with. Like if I was making 100 like DFS lineups, I would definitely have some JT Poston exposure. I just don't know if I'd want to go like double the field on him necessarily. He's just got such a wide range of outcomes, and you kind of like that in this field. But I don't know. Like he misses cuts and then he tops tens and then he misses 2 more cuts. So I think for this field, I think his 8K price is actually fine. Like he's definitely popped up with top tens this year. His game obviously looks, it seems sharp, but like he's not going to save you with like an incredible tee to green game, most likely. So it's really just comes down to the putter. I think Poston's fine at 8K. I really do. The thing about him is there's 2 guys under there in Ches Reavie and John Huh, who like, again, it comes down to like, if you're asking me like which one I'm going to take for top 20 or top 25, it's going to be John Huh over JT Poston this week, because his tee to green game has been really, really strong the last three weeks. And, he's just been better. So I think he's the better value, but Poston is definitely a guy who's got really good upside, good for GPPs, and you should mix him in.
Yeah. With Ha, he's gained more than 22 shots tee to green his last 3 starts. So that includes Colonial Canadian Travelers, and it's a top 25 finish that it's produced each time.
Been good. I mean, he's played this exact type of setup you want him at. He hits a lot of fairways, and his off the tee game has been strong. That's something about this course too that kind of gets overlooked. Like it's not a long course, but if you start missing fairways, you take yourself out of those birdie chances. And most of the players who have won here have actually been pretty strong off the tee. Like they haven't been like, terrible to the point where they're like losing strokes and they make it all up. Yeah, they gain strokes putting, but they're consistent off the tee and they just hitting greens and giving themselves those chances to make birdies. So Huh is definitely that kind of player. Isn't going to take you out of it. His putter might not show up. That's a different story, but he's not going to take you out of it with like, crazy misdrives and stuff.
Speaking of like the shorter placement style courses, like Reed, I heard you mention Scott Stallings like a few minutes ago, like in the tour's last 2 visits to a course like that. So was that Colonial and Travelers? He's gained 15 shots on approach and has earned like a top 10 finish, right? And that dude's usually tossing darts from like that 100, 150 yard range.
Yeah, he's been amazing from a birdie standpoint, from bogey avoidance. He's been pretty solid. Actually, you guys were talking about John Hunt, and like I think he's fine, but I think he's he's got the Mayo bump, he's got the John Deere bump. I think he's going to be heavily rostered. And there's nothing like a chalk bomb in John Hunt where he misses a cut. The guy right below him, on about like Fury at 7,800. Like you keep on staring at Mav, and I'll probably lose money on Mav again this week when it's all said and done. You know, when I'm up at 2 a.m. with the little one, I'll probably be like, Mav, click. Never a good thing. But Lahiri, we talk about off the tee. He's gaining like 12 straight events off the tee. He's missed his last 3 cuts. He hasn't played the John Deere well at all. But we know, like, yes, you need experience here, but I don't think you need to have played well here. We've seen repeat winners, Stricker, Spieth, right? I feel like Zach Johnson, has he won this multiple times? If not, I feel like he should.
Oh, yeah. He's definitely won once. I think he's won more than once. So.
Yeah. So we've seen that. So, yes, but there was a stretch, and I think he just got tired, where Lahiri went 2nd at the Players, 13th at Valero, 60th at RBC, 15th at Mexico, 6th at Wells. And then he missed his last 3 cuts. I think he's just been tired, like the fatigue set in. But now you come to this event, right, where it's a wide open, and he was placing well in much stronger fields than this one. If you want to pivot, like here at $7,800, because again, I like Shank, I like Svensson, I like so does everybody else, right? That's what you kind of have to do too. That you don't have to fade entirely, but find someone like that who could potentially be the pivot in that range, because he's been playing well off the tee, especially.
I'd probably rather just bet Lahiri, but you're right. I mean, again, you come back to that. Are you making 100 lineups? I would definitely sprinkle some Lahiri, and you won't have to go very overweight on him to get in there. I think the potential's there. Absolutely. He's another player who I know he played well at the Players, but normally when you see Lahiri top 10, it's like at the Corrales, right? And this is basically Corrales type field. So yeah, he can get it done this week. He's been really consistent off the tee. It's just his tee is around the green game just sucked last week, but that can flip in moments, right? So
you're right. Plus 7,000 for Lahiri. Ooh, that is enticing.
Oh
yeah, I would have liked plus 1,500, or plus 15,000, but
well, yeah, but beggars can't be choosers here in the John Deere Classic 2022.
Maybe I'll look up the Canadian. Maybe I'll look up the special Canadian odds and see what
you always talk about, Jeff. The the correlation between DFS pricing and odds. Look, John Huss 4,500.
Yep,
plus 4,500, and they're essentially the same price on DraftKings, and you're getting what is that, like 15% more in outright? But that's massive, 20%.
Oh yeah, no, and that's what I'm saying. I prefer him from an outright, right? Because John Huzz is a really good value at 7,800, but Lahiri, you're right. From an outright, if I had to bet one of those guys, yeah, you sprinkle Lahiri in. You can even take 2 guys from that range, and you take my guy Lipsky with them at plus 8,000. Another guy I think has a legit chance this week. But no, I think Lahiri is a good guy to point out for a pivot, and exact type of player. We will not be shocked if he just pops up this week. So
yeah. Anybody with longer odds that you like?
Yes.
Let's hear it.
How long do we have left? We got at least 10 minutes. So
for people at home with the weak feel thing, this though typically can benefit a week like this, a tournament like this, typically benefit people who are well prepared and well researched, and that's why we have you two here. So hook us up with maybe a few dudes, little long shots, a little sprinkle, a little tinkle.
Is Danny Lee playing or? Or no?
Oh yeah,
Danny Lee.
Leave Danny Lee out of this. He's resting. Poor Danny Lee at home.
Let me guess the golfers that Jeff is going to mention here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Goddard up.
Yep.
He likes Goddard up for sure.
Is it Roy Sabatini, South African?
Oh, you got to get a piece of the Yag bombs.
The Yag bomb 100% is in there. He might go Streb. I think he's gonna. Oh, I mean, come on. This says Jeff Ulrich written all over it. Sean O'Hare. He's been touting Sean O'Hare for the last 5 years. You kidding me? Maybe not this week though. I think he likes Sean O'Hare, but maybe not this week. I'll just stick with those 2 because I know that.
I don't know if O'Hare can win a birdie fest here.
But
now you brought him up, I got to look and see what he's been doing. He made the cut at the Canadian Open. No, I don't think it's O'Hare week. Okay, so Yager is definitely someone you can sprinkle on. I mean, he can just go nuts with his putter. Who's Goddard up? I like Goddard up more for a top 40 or top 20 bet.
Yeah.
If you're not familiar with Chris Goddard, top collegiate player last year, one of the top, won some collegiate awards. he is trying to get his PJ Tour card on exemptions only right now. So this is a massive week for him. Like he is, and he's played well. He made the cut at the US Open, made the cut last week. I think a top 40 bet at like plus 150. I think he's at makes a ton of sense. Top 20 as well, though. Like he's definitely like talented enough to do that. And in this field, I mean, come on. So how about a little Bill Haas action though?
Oh my goodness.
No. Yeah, I think you name dropped him on the show on Monday.
Yeah. Bill Haas, man. He gained like 4 strokes on approach.
Is this the father-son event for Bill Haas? What are we doing here?
Is Jay going to come in and putt for Bill? Look, Bill Haas he's been grinding, man. He's made 3 of the last 4 cuts. He gained 4 strokes on approach last week. He's actually played this event quite well. He was like T10 here, I think, last year, despite being like just terrible form. So I don't know. That's the kind of veteran we see show up. So, I mean, Bill Haas, Lucas Glover, is there really that much difference between those 2 guys? I don't know.
Probably.
He's plus 20,000.
Yeah.
That's the main thing you need to know about Bill Haas.
No Lee Hodges love.
Lee Hodges is another guy I'd probably rather just top 40. I don't know if he can sink enough putts to get there for the win. And I don't mind him for DFS at 6,900 either. Like I think he's a little bit undervalued there for sure. Surprised to see him at under 7K. He'll be popular, but like not that popular. They need to fade him or anything.
Because
Hodges more like a top 40 bet for me.
Okay, so one thing to keep in mind with the course too, right? Driving distance around the green play, both those should be mitigated, right? At a course like this, TPC Deer Run.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the driving distance thing, it's more of just being consistent off the tee.
Okay.
Like I said, there's some traps, like fairway bunkers and stuff that can kind of just stymie, just takes away your birdie chances, right? It's all just about placement and just not being too crazy. That's why, you still need to gain strokes off the tee, or you want your guy gaining strokes. You just don't necessarily need him like bombing it out there. And then around the green tends to be pretty simple. The green and regulation percentages this week are really high. So, you don't need to worry too much about around the green. You don't want a guy being terrible. I mean, that'll take you out too, but it's really just more approach putting and like
last week.
It's pretty similar to last week. It really is. Yeah.
Like you need to come in.
It's an even simpler setup than last week.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
Yeah. You need to come in with the hot putter. You need to keep it in the fairway because the rough is thick and you need to score. Like you got to avoid bogeys. Not like avoid bogeys in a major type style, but like everyone's going to be making birdies.
Yeah.
So if you're not making, like if you shoot 2 under on the first round or like second round, you're like, you got to go ballistic on the weekends and shoot 8 under both days. Because that's what's going to happen at this course.
It's not a bad event for live betting either. Like if your guy starts out and he's like 4 shots back after the first round, I mean, guys can come out and they'll just fire like a 62 in the morning or something, right? So yeah, is what it is.
Kelly Craft, another one under 7K in DFS plus 15,000 on the sports book.
Yeah, that ain't bad. I know Mail likes Kelly Craft as well. Like,
okay,
there's a lot of guys. I mean, Wes Bryant popped up in my model plus 20,000. I mean,
none of these dudes we have talked about
no,
this season.
Chris Stroud is someone who has great John Deere splits, but I don't think he's played since February. So that might be a little bit like maybe DFS 100 lineups, put him into like 3. If you're 3% rostered on Chris Stroud, you'd be overweight in my mind. But like, again, don't go too crazy because, like we mentioned, it could be a Kramer Hickok week, right? Yeah. It could be Andrew Novak week. We have no idea because that's the type of field that this is. The guys that I like, Austin Smotherman at plus 11,000. He's another one of these cats that plays like, I think he has like 3 top 35s, a couple top 25s this season already. This is his rookie season. And it is going to be more like a Korn Ferry Tour event. I mean, these guys just graduated from KFT, right? They're the top 25. They know that this is like a birdie fest. Go out and attack pins. Jaeger, go out and attack pins. So Smotherman is one of those guys that I really like at on massive odds at plus 11,000.
Okay. Anyone else we have not mentioned who you guys are feeling a little bit of? Anybody at all?
Yeah.
Like
you gotta dig pretty
Doc.
deep.
I mean, Doc Redmond is a guy at plus 20,000 in this field. Like, I almost feel obliged just to get some money down on because, again, like this is a player who's got like over his PGA career, I think he's got like 6 top 5s, something like that. Like, if he gets like he's talented. He's more talented than pretty much every player like below plus 15,000 in odds. And if he gets going with the putter, just gets some confidence, like he will just look around and be like, yeah, like this is a field I can win at. And it's kind of like the Michael Kim thing, like where he just came in and he was like, yeah, like I'm like good at golf. I'm just as good as everyone in this field. Why can't I win? And Redmond, I feel like, is just a player who could do something exactly similar to that. So that's another one. Again, if you're building a basket of guys like plus 15,000 or bigger, I would throw Doc Redmond in. It's not a stat thing. You don't need to look at anything. He's just a player who's just good. And, he's been very inconsistent this year. Hasn't shown the high end iron striking or like putting that we're kind of known for, but he could easily pick it up this week. Would not shock me in the least bit.
All right. Well, hey, did you say earlier on the show this morning on the Sweat, which we have Monday through Friday, 11 o'clock Eastern time, that you have a CFL bet that you would like to share with us?
I do.
Let's
go to the CFL if I can find it here.
Was it like a couple of years ago? Was it you two who were talking?
Oh yeah, when we used to make Reed give his CFL picks and I grade them.
That was incredible. So much fun.
It's like Pierce now talking. What was it? USFL. Right.
The USFL. No, but Pierce actually like dives into the USFL, and
that does not shock me at all.
I really tried about the USFL. that was not good. Okay. So for this line has actually moved quite a bit. So like if you're into CFL, like it's come down. The BC Lions, who have absolutely blown out their first 2 opponents, like just by like they've won like 30, an average of 35 points. They're minus 2.5 against the Ottawa Red Blacks. But guess what? Because the CFL schedule is so crazy, the BC Lions played 4 days ago. 4 days ago. And they had to travel across the entire country to get to Ottawa. It's like 2 million miles to go across Canada. So now they're playing the Red Blacks, who have lost their first 2 games. But the Red Blacks have played good teams. And they actually, like, their offense has been good. They just haven't quite converted. The Red Blacks, money line at home, it's down to plus 115. It was like plus 135 last night, which is unfortunate. But I would still take Ottawa here. This situation just screams Ottawa bounces back. BC just in for the letdown. Let's go. Let's get on these Red Blacks action here. The red and the black, the meeting of the minds here.
This has to be on our Wednesday edition of the Slate Moving Forward. We got to get our like CFL bet of the week. And this
I also like the over in this game, by the way. Actually, I'll say this. The over in this game, I actually like better than anything else. These are 2 good offenses. They will score. Over 47.5 is probably my favorite bet from that entire game.
Are you close to the Edmonton team?
Yes, I'm very close to the Elks, as we're now known.
Okay. Have you been to a game
this year? I can tell you that as well. Yes.
Okay. What's the atmosphere like at these games?
6.5. Jesus.
It's a lot of fun, is what it is.
We need to make a little golf trip up to Canada, Jeff.
Dude, I'm in. I'm absolutely in.
Jeff literally won't accept our invite to come to the States. We need to go see him. I
wasn't allowed to go there for like an entire year.
That's true.
Yeah. Do I need a passport to get there or to go to Canada?
Please tell me that's not a serious question.
I was just kidding. I have to renew my passport.
Thank you.
You used to be able to just like walk across, like, Meg Gordon Buffalo, just walk right across, go to the restaurants, go check out the falls, like over on that side.
TP, cut the feed.
I gotta go because I'm hungry and I have to make dinner. I have to heat up dinner.
Terminating yourself as well. So,
all right, everybody, that's it. Wow, terrible luck for you, Jeff. I'll see everybody later. Thanks for watching. Stuff me in your trunk.